Hi everyone, I'm the CRM Ninja and welcome back to another episode of The Oops Factor, which a lot of you have been contacting me that you've been really enjoying hearing the stories that people have. Today, we have Pavlos Vasileiadis, hopefully I got that right, joining us today. How are you doing, Pavlos?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So before we get into talking about your Oops Factor story, I was doing a little bit of digging on you just to find out something, I could talk about. And I noted that you served in the Greek army.
Yeah, that's correct.
Specifically in the parachute regiment.
Yeah.
So did you ever actually jump out of an aeroplane?
Yeah, I have 9 jumps in total.
Awesome. So you should know that we actually share that in common. I mean, I wasn't in the Greek army, I wasn't in any army, but I'm a former skydiver with a couple of dozen jumps under my belt. So
nice.
It's just a really amazing experience, to actually get out there, get out in the air, do the free fall and stuff, as I'm sure you've experienced.
It is. I just don't want to do it again.
Really?
I think I had enough. Yeah.
Okay.
I was young at that time.
I'm slight adrenaline stuff. I own a Ninja motorbike as well, and I like sort of the adrenaline rush, which is why I went into it. So
it's addictive.
It is really addictive. So the first time that you went out the aeroplane, what was going through your mind?
I didn't know what was happening. Honestly, the first time I was excited about it, but when the door opened and I was picked out for the first drop, I just did it. But the fact of scare comes later on, second and all the rest of the jumps. The first one I thought it was going to be easy, but it's not, because it's military style. It's not the free jump where you're more relaxed.
It's slightly different.
So you have your gear and other stuff, so you need to be extra careful, and a single mistake might damage someone else or yourself. So I had a couple of injuries, really bad injuries, but I overcome those and continue with the jumps.
That's good. Did you do a static line deployment then? Did you do a static line deployment where your parachute was hooked up and when you went out the door it then automatically deployed?
Exactly. Because they drop us in a really low altitude, which means you need to be extra careful, and 1 second makes a difference. Literally 1 second makes a difference. So you don't have enough time. And that also helps with the radar. So the plane is not captured by the radar. That's why it needs to go lower.
Yeah, important, and very important, obviously, even more with being dropped at such a low altitude and having such a little time to make sure all your equipment is there and to double check it. As with everything that we should do in life, make sure that the preparation is there in order for it to go well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad that we share that. There are actually a couple of other people who have jumped out in the wider Dynamics global community. I've been chatting with a couple of them recently. It's quite interesting to see. An interesting fact, which I have on another episode, which is that in the UK, the skydiving population is about 3,500 people, and over 35% of those are IT professionals. So there's like a direct correlation. Yeah, it's like an almost direct correlation between working in IT and needing to jump out of an aeroplane. And one day I might explore that further.
That percentage scares me a bit. Say something definitely for us. I don't know.
It balances out sitting behind a desk at a computer.
You absolutely need that adrenaline, and I think it's really helpful. I don't know. It helped me a lot for my life, for sure.
Yeah. So, good to have chatted about that. So you've come on to share one of your Oops Factor stories. So go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Oops Factor will be the way it's going to be focused on power-ups and the way we perceive power-ups. Okay. And I really think some of us, and myself included, right, made the same mistake. And the reason why I'm saying that, because the way I see power-ups is something that you can deliver value really quickly to projects, which means it should be treated in a completely different way. And let's say F&O, for example, the traditional large-scale implementations. And why I'm saying that and how is that related with my Oops Factor is because when I approached a couple of project initially, all this documentation and all the stuff that you need to do, regardless of the methodology, you spend a lot of time thinking about it and less time acting on it, right? If it makes sense.
Yes, that's very true. You spend a lot of time thinking about what could be and what the stakeholders want, and then you finally get down into some of the tech.
Absolutely. And I think that was my biggest oops factor. And the good thing about it is I learned straight away and adapted to it.
Okay.
But that actually says a lot about these low-code technologies. And it's not just about Power Apps. If you kind of go wider, in general, the whole low-code technologies, you should have a completely different approach in terms of implementation. But not even with implementation, the whole journey starts from the pre-sales and the sales community as well, part of it. And why I'm saying that, because you don't need to spend again time of thinking about it, discussing about the product. You can easily demo that product straight away from the sales process. So something that I've learned.
Yeah, that's really correct. And something like that, you can also get many more early adopters. Rather than talking about the technology as a theory and what it could develop and could deliver, you can actually, with only a little bit of effort, one or two people, a couple of weeks, maybe, sometimes even less, actually spin up proof of concept. And once clients can actually see that on the screen and see it working, like, oh, hold on a moment, that's actually really, really good. So you can overcome some of those barriers.
And I will actually say not even weeks, it might be even hours. I've seen people doing that. And why this is a disruptor and how is that related with my oops factor? Again, it is a disruptor because the whole process from sales to delivery, it has to be revamped. It's going to be a new thing all over. And why I'm saying that is because it's much smoother process the way I see it. Straight away discussing the product and then demoing straight away, or building something in advance from the sales process, not even in the delivery process. And then this MVP, which can start from, again, in the sales process, pre-sales process, can actually be transformed and become proper product in the end. So you actually see a really smooth product phase, product life cycle with low-code technology.
That's absolutely right. And for people unfamiliar with the terminology of MVP in this instance, it means minimum viable product. What is the smallest bit that you can have that's working that will start to deliver, and then you can iterate on it.
And I think that helped me kind of rewire my brain in terms of projects, because I just had it wrong initially, and I think I changed since I started working with Power Apps, and I'm pretty sure this applies to all low-code platforms out there.
It's very true. I know, obviously, with Power Platform being as new as it is, and only really starting to gain ground from earlier this year, and with Power Apps and Power BI around it now Power Virtual Agents and Power Portals and all the rest of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
People are moving away from the traditional waterfall projects. People have been moving anyway to Agile, but this is even more Agile in the way that you can do, as you say, spin up. I mean, I've seen Chris Huntingford do an app in 32 minutes. We timed him, because he said he could do it in 30 and he went 2 minutes over. So
he
the
lied.
ears were on him. Yeah, I know. But it's that sort of thing you can quickly spin up.
Absolutely.
We've seen examples whereby we've been talking to the clients, sort of in pre-sales meetings, and we've had somebody at the back of the room who's quietly building a Power App as we're talking about the requirements. And we get to the end of the session 2-3 hours later, and we say, can we just give you 5 minutes? And we demo something there. So you're right in terms of, the quickness of it. Keith Watling, who's about to start at Pontic, he's been with Ariba for many, many years and done amazing things there.
Yep.
So his view is, you shouldn't be building apps in just a day. It takes a bit more time to do it. You can get a very rough model, but in order to make things work properly and think of the right way to build it with the connectors and stuff and the functionality, it should take more than a day. And I've had quite a few interesting conversations with him around this.
Yeah, absolutely. I will agree with Keith, and I know him. He's amazing. It definitely takes more than a day. So where I was coming from is that having something visual in front of the client can help you, grab all this, or really dive deep down and grab all those requirements you couldn't absolutely find otherwise. Once they see it visually in front of them, they can start playing with it, they can start asking questions, and this is the gem. This is honestly the best thing you can ever happen in a workshop, them coming up with ideas non-stop. And those ideas actually is a roadmap for your future product. This is how I see it. So nothing go wasted in a workshop. That's why I'm quite excited and looking forward to see what Power Ups has to offer.
So when you didn't go down this sort of new route, what went wrong?
It just, time wasted, and the conversation we could have had earlier, and we ended up having them later down the line. And it's all cost. I know. It's money's there, and it's time of the individuals there. Project, the whole life cycle of a project could be much shorter as well. So, all those tiny things that ended up, it was a good product in the end of the day. Just don't get me wrong.
I'm not questioning that for a moment. I'm sure it was a great product.
It was a good one. It's just it could have been much, much, much less. It's shorter, basically, the whole life cycle of the project.
True. So we're changing our mindsets to, deliver this really rapid approach and rapid prototyping sort of thing. The benefits of that we can get from it then are to be able to, have shorter projects, deliver the minimum viable product much quicker and then iterate on it and really get that tie-in, from the client, and things just don't get stretched on, which is obviously a waste of time and resource. One
thing to emphasize as well, I really believe that it will fill the gap between sales and delivery. Those teams are kind of well, they're not fighting with each other, but there
can be squabbles occasionally. Yes.
Yeah, you've seen that. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah. But I feel this gap won't be there for long. And this is because of the new technologies. Actually, merging those teams together, and the boundaries. I just thought it's just much smoother now. That's correct. How I see it.
And many companies are now moving, the pre-sales guys who would support with a bit of technology emphasis, but are now getting much more technology focused to be able to do these sort of things, because they need to understand the technology.
Absolutely, and they are the ones that actually pass the MVP down to the delivery team, and it's tech people and functional people talking to functional people, and there is an understanding, and they end up meeting clients' expectation. Everyone is happy, and it's just the agile, actually the actual final, the agile methodology as you would ever want it, and Power Ups enable you to do that.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We hope that the viewers have enjoyed this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. There's a playlist with all the Oops Factor series on it, and to like and share it around. One final question for you, Pavlos, which is, absolutely, if you could nominate somebody to come on the show for me to interview for their Oops Factor story, who would you want to appear?
Okay, that's a good one. One of my colleagues, I'll nominate Srikanth. I'll pass on the details.
Okay. I'll ask you to perform an introduction. That would be great. But yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. He's technical, but he's also functional, and the way his brain operates is just amazing. I'm sure you will enjoy the chat with him. Absolutely. So I'm nominating one of my friends and colleagues, Srikanth.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thanks for coming on.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.